The next thing that we're going to talk about is units of measurement. Now, I am not going to talk about imperial measurements except for temperature, purely because this course is going to be done in the metric system and the world should be done in the metric system, but that is just my opinion. So we are going to do just conversions with prefixes within the metric system. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to your information booklet or your data package, whatever you want to call it, and I want you to turn to page 3. On this page, we have listed for you all of the prefixes and conversions within the metric system. So you're not expected to memorize the prefixes, although we will really only be using the ones that you know anyway, like we could use kilo, we could use deci, centi, milli, maybe even a micro, but that's about it. But what we're going to do is we're going to be able to go within any of these. So we're going to start off with one-dimensional measurements. That is length or mass, or we will learn some parts of volume, even though that's a cubic measurement, but we'll talk about that. So we're going to be converting something like 1 centimeter to millimeters. What you can do is one of two things. You could go to your information booklet and say, I'm going from centimeters to millimeters. That's making me move to the right one place. And you could take the number 1 centimeter and move it to the right one place and put a 0 and call it 10 millimeters. So that's the slidey scale. Or you could use dimensional analysis and use your knowledge that 1 centimeter is what we have and what we want is in millimeters. So we use a conversion. We can convert centimeters to millimeters if we know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. Or some people, again, you'll always set it up as centimeters to millimeters. Maybe some people know that 1 millimeter is 10 to the negative 1 centimeters, right? That'd be kind of a random thing to know. Or you could say 0.1 of a centimeter, whatever it is that you want to look at. But either of those conversions, and you can plug it in. So for me, this would be 1 times 10, which is going to give me 10 millimeters. So this is called dimensional analysis because you're analyzing the dimensions. You're getting rid of centimeters using a conversion and then converting to millimeters. So what I want you to do is I now want you to convert 5.74 milligrams into grams. You can either do it by going to your slidey scale and going milli. Let's get rid of this one. So this time we're going to go from milli to grams. So we would go milli back to the base unit. So that base unit can be meters, grams, liters, whatever it's going to be. So maybe it's even a byte. But I went to the left 3 places. So I would go left 1, 2, 3 places. That would give me an answer of 0.00574 grams. Or you could use dimensional analysis and say that you have 5.74 milligrams. I want to convert the milligrams into grams. And I know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. So I would be taking the 5.74 and dividing by 1,000. And I would also get 0.00574. Choose your poison. So pause the video, give B a go. So in B, I can either use my slidey scale. I'm going from kilometers into meters. So 1, 2, 3 to the right, which would make me go 1, 2, 3 to the right. Or I know that 14.1 kilometers, if I wanted to convert into meters, I know my conversion is that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So I would be taking this and timesing it by 1,000, and that would also give me 14,100 meters. Totally your choice. What we're going to move up to now is 2-dimensional measurements. So if I was going to do something like area. Now in chemistry, we don't talk about area really. Well, we aren't going to. But we're just baby stepping on our way to volume. So if we're going to convert 2-dimensional measurements, these are things that are units squared. So things like meters squared or centimeters squared. There's 2 ways to do it. Way number 1 is to move using the sliding scale, but you have to do it twice. So for example, if I was going to go from 1 centimeter into meters, right? Remember, centimeter into meter is 1 to the right. So I'm going to go 1 to the right, but I have to do it twice because it's squared. Okay? So if you're converting using the sliding scale, whatever you move over, left or right, do it twice. Or from a dimensional analysis standpoint, 1 centimeter squared is 1 centimeter times centimeter, right? Centimeters squared. So we have to convert each of the centimeters into millimeters. So if we know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters, we have to convert one of the centimeters into millimeters and then the other centimeter into millimeters. So I would end up with 1 times 10 times 10, which is 1 times 100, or 10 squared, right? So centimeter squared into millimeter squared would be 10 squared, and you would end up with 100 millimeter squared. So if I was going to do 4.2 meters squared to centimeters squared, just going from meters to centimeters is 2 slidey scales. I would move my decimal place over 1, 2, and then 1, 2. So I end up with 1, 2, 3 zeros. If I was going to do this by dimensional analysis, I have 4.2 meters squared. I want to convert meters squared into centimeters squared. I know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So 1 square meter would equal 100 square centimeters, right? So this would tell me that I'm multiplying 4.2 by 100 twice, or squared, which also gives me 42,000 centimeters squared. Right? You choose. Sliding scale, dimensional analysis. Try this next one. So sliding scale, centimeters to meters is 2 to the left, but I'm going to do it twice. So 0.00263 meters squared. Or from a dimensional analysis standpoint, if you feel like being more mathy, plus it is really good to understand dimensional analysis, we would be going from centimeters into meters. In 1 meter, there are 100 centimeters. So in 1 meter squared, there is 100 square centimeters. So I am going to be taking 26.3 and dividing it by 100 twice, or 100 squared, and I get 0.00263 meters squared. Awesome. Okay, last one. Last one we're going to do is 3-dimensional measurements, and if you can guess it, you do it 3 times. So this is a measurement of volume. So a measurement for volume from a 3-dimensional standpoint would be cubic measures. So meters cubed or centimeters cubed. So let's just start with that before I mention the other part. So if I was going to convert 1 centimeter cubed into millimeters cubed, on the slidey scale, you'd move 1 unit to the right, but you would do it 3 times. So you would say, I have 1, and I'm going to move that decimal place over once, and I'm going to do it 3 times. So my answer would be 1,000 millimeters cubed. From a dimensional analysis standpoint, you're changing a cubic dimension. So centimeters cubed, you have 3 centimeters to change. Boom, 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 boom. And I have to change them all into millimeters. So 10 millimeters, 10 millimeters, 10 millimeters. Or I could do it as cubic. So 1 centimeter cubed. If I want to get rid of centimeters cubed, I put them on the bottom. I want millimeters cubed, I put them on the top. I know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So 1 cubic centimeter would be equal to 10 cubic millimeters cubed, right? So let's do these ones. So we are going to do this first one, meters into decimeters cubed. So meter, I should get rid of all this stuff that's on here. So meter is my base unit, and I'm going only 1 unit to the right to deci. So 1 unit to the right is deci, whereas 1 unit to the left is deca, and it's with a capital D. So we are going to little d deci, and it's 1 unit to the right. So if I was to do this using slidey scale, I have 5.74. I'm going to move 1 unit to the right, but I'm going to do it 3 times. So I get 5,740 decimeters cubed. If you want to do it by dimensional analysis, I have 5.74 meters cubed. I want to get rid of the meters cubed. I want decimeters cubed, so I put it on the top. And then my conversion is that 1 meter is 10 decimeters. So 1 cubed is 10 cubed. So I'm really multiplying 5.74 by 10 3 times, or by 10 cubed, and I get 5,740 meters cubed. All right, pause the video. Sorry, I meant decimeters cubed. Decimeters cubed. Okay, pause the video, give B a go. So slidey scale, centimeters to meters is 2 to the left. I'm going to do that 3 times. I got to show it. 1, 2 to the left, 3 times. 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm going to put 4 zeros and a 1, 4, 1. If I was to do this using dimensional analysis, I have 14.1 centimeters cubed. I'm going to get rid of the centimeters cubed. I'm going to convert to meters cubed. I know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters, so 1 cubed would be 100 cubed. So I'm dividing by 100 3 times, or I'm doing 14.1 divided by 100 cubed. And that's going to give me, and you could write in scientific notation, 1.41, maintaining sig figs, times 10 to the negative 5 meters cubed. Okay. And then we have 2 more things here. So that I was mentioning sort of earlier that volume can also be thought of as a linear unit. We use volume a lot. And if you ask people to measure volume of liquids using things like centimeters cubed and meters cubed and decimeters cubed, you make them confused. So instead, we use a linear unit, which is the liter. We can use liters, we can use milliliters, we can use kiloliters, we can use deciliters, and so on. And there's a conversion between the cubic unit and the linear unit. It's on your formula sheet, so if we go to your information booklet, right here, there's 2 metric conversions, okay, metric volume conversions. 1 milliliter is equal to 1 centimeter cubed. So if we were to draw something that was a centimeter by a centimeter by a centimeter, it would hold a milliliter of liquid. Whereas if we drew something that was a decimeter cubed, which is a tenth of a meter. So if you can picture a meter stick, take a tenth of it, and then make a cube that would be a tenth by a tenth by a tenth of a meter, or a decimeter by a decimeter by a decimeter, it would hold a liter of fluid. So if I ask you to convert between centimeters cubed to milliliters cubed, it's a direct conversion. If you have 494 centimeters cubed, you have 494 milliliters. If I ask you to convert between liters and decimeters, again, it's just a straight conversion. So 0.25 liters would be 0.25 decimeters cubed. Now in your homework, there's a question, I think it says to go from liters to centimeters cubed. So you would go liters into decimeters cubed, and then decimeters cubed into centimeters cubed. And you'll get there. Good luck.